Well, Hong Kong still lived up to all the razzmatazz, I think. There were greater stakes this weekend. I think everyone had a bit of an onus on replicating an Olympic feeling on the 3 days and the pressure and the media around it. It's not quite the volume that we'll get in Rio, but it's more than most of the tournaments.
John Moonlight, well, this is a turner for the books. The kick and the chase, Injera gets the bounce, Injera gets the try.
Kenya and Canada put on a really good show against us. You know, Benny Ayimba's doing a great job with Kenya, and Canada and Liam, you know, their best game was against us, and they really fired into us and put us on under a lot of pressure. You're going to have those games that are decided on last plays. That's what makes sevens so good, and I hope it continues to be like that. Thinking clearly under pressure, there's a number of ingredients that you have to get right. You have to be fit for purpose, so you have to make sure that you've got clarity and there's got no fog in the top 2 inches. And then we have to make sure that you stick to the plan that you have, and then you work your plan and you trust the ability of everyone, you know. And we had last plays where we couldn't afford to knock the ball on or get the ball turned over. We had to go forward, we had to get on the branches of players and not the trunks, and we did all of those things very well over the weekend when it mattered.
A little no-look pass. Oh, it's beautiful. It really is so beautiful. And skipping away is Kirioni Talinga.
You only have a really short turnaround between semi-final and final in Hong Kong. I thought that momentum was going to carry us through into the final, and the boys looked confident going into that game. New Zealand are playing a tight game at the moment. They're basing most of it around, playing with a little bit wide to wide, but smashing breakdowns and rucks and a lot of 1 out and two out passing. And that game in Vancouver against South Africa was all played in very tight channels and was very sevens like, I guess. And I think some teams are going down that road at the moment where they're putting a lot of onus on attrition, on physicality, and we've had to make sure that our breakdown skills are good and robust. And I think we won every single ruck that we went into over 3 days, which is pretty anti-Fijian really. And we got a lot of turnovers, some key turnovers in that final. Po2Y took out 2 players with big arms of his to get a crucial final try turnover. So it's the way that the game's going, and teams are deciding that their programs are pushing one way or the other, and we've decided that we stick with how we're going to play. And we play at a high risk, but as Brian Ashton always tells me, it's only a risk if you make a mistake, and we didn't make too many mistakes in that final. I think the guys that are shining at the moment in the series are still the sevens exponents. Those guys are still showing the experience and robustness in sevens. I'm still seeing though that the 15s boys coming through. I mean, last night in the final is a good example. In the first half, Liam Messon went in to clear a ruck, and I was shouting from the sideline that he was sealing off, and then I look at it on the video and it was just an unbelievable clear out where he just smashed our guys out the way and kept his feet. It was textbook and a world-class clear out. So those small things that perhaps the bigger picture supporters aren't looking at, and they want the whistles and bangs, they want them to be scoring 90-metre tries, but what Liam does that goes unnoticed, we don't see unnoticed as coaches. But the bottom line is the fundamentals at world-class level are still being a good rugby player, and I think those guys all have that. If you're looking at the Olympic squads now and those possible players for Rio, you get injuries now, 1 month, 2 month injuries. You're putting them at risk for the Olympic Games. There's 20 players fighting for 12 slots, but we're close. I mean, I wanted a local-based team. We're almost there. I think there's 5 overseas boys that we're going to give a run out to in Paris and London that are playing either in the UK or France. World-class players. And if they show that they've got some appetite and some ability there, then we'll bring them into the Olympic training camp, and then it's just all on really for that 8-9 weeks where they'll all go toe-to-toe and we'll come out with a 12. We're 5 points ahead with 3 to go. We've won 3 titles. We'd like to win more titles than we won last year, so that means taking out 2 out of the next 3. Personally, I'd love to go to London and win that. Last year winning the World Series but not winning the last event takes a little bit of a gloss off it. Not a lot, but a little bit. And I'd love to go back home to London with the boys and finish on a real high before we go into the Olympic Games. So there's plenty at stake, and the boys also know they're all fighting for places.